Good morning, everyone. I cannot believe our Martinez Community Swim Team 2021 season is going to begin in just 5 short weeks. To provide everybody with some information, I'm going to send out a video each week as we head into our 2021 season. Today, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about some changes you might see this year for swim practices and update everybody on some information about our swim meets as well. Let's start with our swim practices. If you go online, you're going to see a practice schedule there, and that's what we created a couple months ago, trying to start getting ready for the swim season. Based on our current information, our groups are going to be able to be a little larger than last year. We're going to be able to fit more kids in the pool at a time. The cohort model of running a swim team is changing a little bit. So that practice schedule you see online will definitely be simplified within the next couple weeks. All of our swimmers will be placed in groups primarily based on their age, a little bit on their ability, and the times you see online should be close to what ends up being our final schedule. We're hoping some of the schedules can be adapted so that the practices are actually a little longer. We created pretty short practices to fit everybody in, but now with bigger groups, I think we can have more depth in our practices, and we can keep the kids in the water a little longer to make them a little more challenging. A lot of the structure you see in our practices this year will be similar. We will be using the lap pool, 7 years old and younger. Most of those kids will be in the splash pool, but not all of them. We can't share equipment similar to last year. Social distancing, wearing a mask, lining up when you enter the facility, coming in one gate, leaving through the other. Those will all be about the same. There are some differences, though. One of the differences I'm most excited about is that there is not restrictions as far as how many groups a coach can coach. So instead of coaching one group every day, you'll see more of a consistent group of coaches that are coaching most of the groups every day, which is fun for me. I mean, it was great being the COVID monitor last year, but it'll actually be a lot more engaging to be able to coach a practice, then another practice, then another practice, and just get to know more of the swimmers on the team, like we could in a more traditional year. Because of some loosening restrictions, I think parents will be pleased to hear that we will have opportunities for parents to come into the facility and watch some swim practices. Not everybody every day, but definitely we'll be having some sort of sign-up system. We've already talked about having a limited number of parents come into the facility every day. Now, if your child is in our splash pool portion of the program, they are 7 and younger, almost all of those parents will be able to stay in the facility every day, practicing social distancing, wearing a mask, things like that. And then with our swimmers 12 and younger, we're planning on doing like a sign-up, a rotation system where different parents can come into the facility and watch the practices and see what's happening, see how their kids are doing. Just become a little more involved with their swimming instead of being locked outside the gates every single day, which, yeah, that was kind of a bummer, but now we're moving forward. Now, there was one little piece of bad news we got for our practices that was a little disappointing, but understandable. I was really hoping we would be, like the coaching staff would be back in the water with swimmers this summer. And as of right now, that doesn't look like it's happening, but I know social distancing rules are changing. And as soon as they change to allow coaches to be in the water, we will be in there the next day. So we are hoping to work towards that. But as of right now, today, current rules are we cannot be in the water coaching swimmers. It's all from the deck. But the good news is we can coach a wider variety of swimmers, but it's still all from the deck. The biggest question we're getting, and all swim teams are getting, is are we going to be able to have swim meets? Well, the simple answer is yes. We've just found out this last week that we're going to be able to have meets. We had meets with the Alhambra High School swim team this season, and they ran really smooth. There's definitely some different protocols for running those meets, limited numbers of staff on deck, limited number of parents and swimmers, but we're definitely going to be able to run some meets. How those look, let me start that over. To run our swim meets in a safe, manageable way, we have created a plan to propose to the city of Martinez for running meets. And my goal as the coach of the team, is that all swimmers will have the opportunity to swim in one swim meet a week after school gets out. Now, those meets will be a little different. We can't have every swimmer at every meet. So what we would do is something like, let's say we were going to swim Benicia swim team, the Stingrays. So what we would potentially do is we would schedule 2 meets with Benicia, and maybe on a Wednesday evening, our 10 and unders would swim, and then on the Saturday morning, our 11 and older swimmers would swim then. Now, within that 10 and under and 11 and older, we would have different shifts come and go from the pool during the meet. Instead of swimmers being at a meet for, say, 3 or 4 hours, they might be there for an hour and 15 minutes or an hour and a half. They would come, like all the 6 and unders would come, they would do a little warm up, then we would do heats and relays of 6 and unders, and then we'd clear out the facility, and then we'd restart again with the 7/8s. The 7/8s would come in, they would do a warm up, then we'd run heats of 7/8 swimmers, and then they would leave. It would be, it's swim meets, shorter meets. So, if you don't want to watch everybody else's kids swim, well, you're mainly going to be watching yours. And you might be at the facility for an hour and a half. We'd have limited volunteers. And to be honest, there's a lot of parents who ask about volunteers. What's that going to be like this year? Well, we're going to need volunteers to make it work. It'll be less volunteering than in a traditional year. But to be honest, like with the high school swim team, we always had more volunteers than we really needed. And it was actually the first time I ever had a complaint about people signing up for too many jobs because other parents wanted to be on the deck, timing and watching the meet. With our swim meets, the good news is it's not just going to be like we did last summer where we had kids swimming and the facility was closed. When kids are racing and swimming, their parents will be allowed to come inside the facility to watch them, or I should say a parent will be able to come inside the facility and watch them. And while you're in there, you'll probably be able to get to see a few other races as well. If the meet structure gets confusing or stressful to you and your family, you're always welcome to sign out of the meets. That's fine. It's summertime. People are going to be on vacation. We want it to be a good experience for everybody. You're not going to be required to work at all these meets like normal. So if you're not there, that can be a family decision. That's about all I have to update you on today. We will share our 2021 practice plans, like our COVID plan and our swim meet COVID plan with all the parents once it gets approved by the city of Martinez. They're already being proposed right now. And if you have questions, just hit me up, write a little email to this email address right there, unless I forget to put it in later. Send me an email, and if I get a lot of questions, then I'll make sure to include the answers to those questions next week when I send out another video. I know, nothing really funny today. Nothing like dramatic, no changing of hats, standing in the backyard, talking to a camera by myself. That's it. See you soon. I can't wait to get back in the water.